Hey guys, it's Melissa with Web of Creativity, and this video we're going to work on the body of the windmill. So this is a part 2 video. Part 1 was making the box in the drawer that's the windmill sits on, and then this video is going to be all about making the windmill and the windmill blades that move. And then video number 3 is about the mini album. All those videos are linked below, and kits and tutorials are also linked below, and you can find those on my website, www.webofcreativity.net. So let's get started on making that windmill. Our next piece is our hectagon piece. Now I already drew my lines connecting the dots, and of course all those dimensions are on the tutorial. And I got a new craft knife. This is a Fiskars one. And then we're just going to cut on our lines for our hectagon. I'm going to do the other two sides. Alright, so now that the hectagon piece is trimmed and cut out, we're going to mat it, or cover it, or wrap it. So we're going to just take our piece and attach right to that center. And go ahead and take our bone folder, and we're going to go ahead and trace around the edge. And we're going to trim our sheet down. Next we're going to trim the paper on the 4 sides. I'm going to use my Tim Holtz ruler with the metal edge. I'm going to trim a 1/2 inch from the chipboard edge. Oh. I clearly need to sharpen my blade, or get a new blade. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and fold on all the edges. And I'm going to trim up to the corner of the chipboard, and I'm going to just make I'm going to cut out a little notch, because I'm just going to wrap this guy around to attach on the underside. So I'm just going to cut that little notch out, again up to that chipboard corner. So I have all my corners cut. Now I'm going to just add some tape to all the edges of the paper. Alright, now I'm going to attach my sides first, my 4 sides, and then the 2 front sides, front and back. So these are your front and back, and the ones with the corners are our side pieces. So what I'm doing is, once I roll it over, I'm just giving it a good rub, make sure it's down. So now we have it wrapped, and this is the front edge that you're going to see. So you're only going to see about 1/4 inch all the way around the edge. You don't need to cover this. This is going to be on the bottom, and you're not going to see it because the only part you'll see is the 1/4 edge if you flip the windmill over. Alright, moving on. We're going to work on the bottom piece of the windmill. So we need 6 pieces of small chipboard. This is going to form the bottom of our hexagon base. So I have some hinges already cut, and these are going to be for the inside of the base. Then we have some more hinges cut and prepped to attach the bottom to the base, this hexagon base right here. And then a little bit more. These are not tapered, so these are flush, and these are going to go on the corners on the outside of the base. So we're going to start with 2 pieces. So I'm going to just take 1 hinge, flush to the short edge. Short edge. Remove tape backing. Have it lined up top and bottom and attach. And you're just going to do that with all of the pieces. So we'll attach them all, and that'll give us our 6 sides. And then we will shape them when we attach. Make sure it's our hexagon shape when we attach it to our base. And for our last piece, we're going to roll over and put it flush and then attach. So I know it's hard to see, but all I did was make it on the ground. So there's our, you can see our hexagon piece right there. So that's our base. We're going to attach it to our base. That's probably a little bit easier. So we'll attach it to and have it's hard to see that. Have like a 1/4 inch border all the way around. Alright, so we'll take our little bit longer hinge piece that's tapered and attach it to the edge. Now you could have done this before you attached the last piece, or I could have, so you can see it a little bit better, but we're just attaching it to the edge. So just attaching it to the edge. Made my hinge just a little bit too big, it looks like. So trim your hinge down if you need to. And I think this one's good. Alright, now we have all of our pieces attached. We can shape it the best we can. and go ahead and attach this upside down. Alright, so I removed all the tape backing and kind of pushed these inwards just a little bit so I can figure out a good placement and then attach them. So I'm gonna focus on the two corners, two outside right and left corners, and then get my front piece. So it looks like it's 1/4 of an inch. It's hard to do on the camera. I'm going to move this closer to me so I can just see instead of going all the way around. Lined up. You hold it and then you just press down on your pieces. Oh, that looks good. Just making sure it looks good all the way around and looks even. So I just line that up. Perfect. Looks good, and that's our bottom piece. So our next pieces that we have are hinges for the outside. So those just get attached to the corners. And then we're going to use our pattern paper to cover each section, and we're going to have this cream color stick out on all the corners, and then our pattern paper is going to wrap not all the way to the bottom, to the inside, but it is going to have an overhang. That's the piece that we're going to attach to the box. So this is going to attach to the bottom of our box. Alright. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and attach our sides. I'm going to start with the bottom because I want the bottom covered. So if there's a little bit less coverage at the top, it's okay. Nobody's going to see it because that overhang. But we definitely want the very far bottom covered. Yeah, so you can't really tell that there's just like a hair sliver showing at the top, which you're not going to see. You're going to see it like this. But you want to make sure that bottom part is all the way covered. Now, if you want to wrap it, make it a little extra longer and wrap it like we did with the boxes, you can totally do that. Just add an extra ½ inch to your pieces. It's not necessary, but if you do want this edge covered more, even though it'll be attached to the base of the box, that's fine. You can do that. There's nothing wrong with a little extra coverage. So you're going to attach all 6 pieces just like that. So it's just flush to the bottom. So we're going to put our pattern paper on the sides. So I added a piece of tape on all the edges, stopping short on both edges, probably about 3/8 of an inch. I just kind of eyeballed it. Yeah, about 3/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch. So for our pattern paper, I cut out 6 pieces and have tape flush to the bottom of each piece. And then when you flip it over, I have tape flush to the top and then to the edges, and then stopping a little more than a ½ inch, or just a ½ inch. Yeah, stopping short about a ½ inch, because when we attach it, one, I have the tape on this edge, so when we attach it down, and we don't need tape on this side, this is what's going to get attached to the bottom of the box when we roll it over. So let's remove the tape backing, and then when we attach our piece, we're going to put it to the top, then we're going to make sure it's even on both sides. And okay, I did check to make sure I removed the tape from the actual box. Nope. I think it's because I was sideways, a little bit sideways. Okay, I was a little sideways attaching it, so I had to reattach it. So it's just a little, you can see, it's just a 1/4 of an inch on each side. Not even a 1/4, it's 1/8 of an inch border on each side. So let's do one more. This time I'll go straight on so I can make sure that I'm definitely even. Butt it to the top, and then, so it's top, and then even on the sides. Okay, so you're going to do that to all 6 sides. Oh, I have all of these sides put on. So the next step, I'm going to take my tip of my bone folder and run it along the edge. So I'm going to put it on my paper and run it just along the edge just to get that crease. Do that to all 6 pieces. And then we're going to fold over. And I'm going to use my bone folder and flatten the top out. Alright, so when we attach, just how we attach to this, get my box out here. We're going to push these guys in, find our spot that's even, and the part that's going to be a little tricky and hard to show you because of the angle. So I'm going to show you like this. I'm going to have this open just a bit and slide, alright, well, open just a bit and slide my ruler down and attach the inside of the pieces. I could probably get most of them except this front piece, which will most likely attach to my ruler. But what I'm going to do with the front piece is have it, when I remove the tape, I'm going to have it attached to these 2 side pieces. So if I can get these started, hopefully this one with some pressure will attach on its own. So this is the only hard part. And I said push inwards. I didn't mean that. I meant push up because you're going to want those up. So when we're attaching, we're going to be as careful as we can to get it as even as we can. So when we push down on it, it'll have it'll start to have a stick, and then we can get our ruler in there to get the rest of the stick. But you're not going to be able to see how the camera is angled. So again, I'll stick the back first and just put my ruler in there and start putting those tabs down, and then just press hard in the front, hoping that these 2 tabs will take care of this one to attach. Plus, once we get everything else on top of it, it's going to be weighed down, and we shouldn't have any problems with getting this bottom piece stuck to this box. Alright, so I already removed my tape. So the front, I have this piece on the bottom and these 2 side flaps attached to the corners. And for the back, I have this piece attached to the 2 sides. So this one is a head. So I'm turning it upside down, and I'm going to use my ruler as a guide, especially since it's hard to attach on the camera. So I'm just finding my center spot, oops, and then I'm letting it go by accident. I'm finding my you're not gonna, I could do this. Making sure I am not even on the sides. I look like I'm even now. Let's make sure. Alright, those look even on the sides. Let me see if I can stick my ruler and attach. Just making sure I'm even before I attach this, because this isn't coming up. So I'm sticking my ruler in there and attaching the sides. I'll have it even all the way around. It is coming together. All right, it's stuck. Time to work on the body of this guy. Next, we're doing our sides. So we're going to get 6 of these pieces. I have 3 in my hands, and we're going to trim them so they're shorter at the top and longer at the bottom. So for trimming, mark at the top half an inch in. Then I draw my line from the top going all the way to the bottom corner, so I have that angle. Then use my craft knife, which I changed my blade, so I can actually cut. Lining up my ruler and then I'm going to flip it. I'm going to do the other side. Oops. And there you go. Short at the top, big at the bottom, and you're going to do that with all 6 pieces. I trimmed all of my sides, so I have 6 sides here, and I have all of my hinges, so they've been tapered at the corners and added tape to the outside portion. And then we're just going to attach one hinge to one side, line our second guy up so it's even on the edge and at the top and the bottom. And then attach. That easy. And we're going to do that to all the pieces. So again, line up the, oh, I ripped that one. line up the top and bottom. And we'll do that to all 6 sides. Alright, before we attach these guys together, we're going to add our tabs to the bottom. So I've already cut out my tabs, tapered the corners, and added my tape. So we're just going to put that flush to the bottom. And if they look too long, then trim them down just a smidge. Because when you fold, you're going to want to make sure that it's going to wrap and not catch on the sides. And we'll save the last one until we attach all the pieces together. Okay, so we're going to attach this, remove the tape, line it up flush. Here is our piece, and then we'll take our last guy right here. Alright, so I got our base and then our tower here. So when we attach this guy, we're going to have about a 1/4 inch. Yeah, about a 1/4 inch all the way around. So when we're attached, we're going to shape them. And this one's going to be a little bit easier because it's open. So we're going to stick our ruler or craft knife down at the bottom to push our tabs in. But right now I'm going to try and fold them inside the best I can, just to give us a little bit more wiggle room to make sure our pieces, make sure our windmill base is in a good spot. So again, just pushing those down. I don't want it to get stuck before it gets attached. And I'm going to focus on the 2 corners, making sure that they line up. And then the front and the back. And then I'm going to hold and am I touching? I can't tell. Alright, before I make sure it's completely attached, I'm just going to eyeball it, make sure it looks good all the way around. Okay, once we get that attached, and looking like we want to, you can get your roller down there, but I can get my hand down there and just press on the tabs on the inside. But again, you can use your ruler and just press on those tabs. Alright, now that we got that piece on, we have some, does this go all the way out? Yeah. Some more hinges. This time these are not tapered and they're taped on the inside, the valley part. Now I said not taper, but we're going to taper a hair because this is at an angle. We're going to attach them to the front. Now it does get real close to the bottom, so if that doesn't bother you, you can just leave it like that. See that little sliver right there? But I'm going to cut just a sliver of a hair at an angle just to get that more smooth. And I'm going to have this hang over. And we're going to cut in the middle and fold it to the inside. So again, I'm just going to cut a little. It's not a lot at all. And then I'm going to see how it looks. But trimming it just a little bit. Oh, losing my finger. It sits more flush. So I'm going to trim all of those pieces just a little bit. And then we're going to attach them to the sides. So I remove my tape. And I'm going to put it right on the corner. There we go. And it's going to be hard to see. We're going to give it a shot. I'm going to cut. Can you? Oh, it's hard to see because it's cream on cream. Here, let me get this craft paper. There you go. So I'm going to cut just like we do. Cut straight to the corner of the chipboard and at a little bit of an angle. Oh, I didn't cut it very good. Straight down to the corner of the chipboard. There we go. So I got that trimmed. So it's a V shape. And I'm going to wrap this guy around on this side. This guy on this side. Where's my bone folder? And just make it flush at the top. Making it smooth at that top. So you can see that I wrapped it around and attached. So it looks good. So we're going to do the same thing on all 6 sides. And then we're going to get some pattern paper for the middle. So we're going to cut, I already cut our pieces for our sides. We just have to trim them just like we did the chipboard. So let's move that out of the way. So we're going to cut 6 pieces and flip it upside down. And we're measuring the top portion. Again, the measurements are on the tutorial. And we're finding our center spots here. Drawing our lines. And cutting with our craft knife. So we're going to go from the corner to our marked spots. now that we have them the right measurements, so it's going to hang off the top and we're going to fold it over. But before we do, cut all 6 of these and then ink the edges. Alright, I have all of my pieces ready to go. So first I added tape at the very top, flush to the edge, and of course I have spaces on both sides where there's no tape. When the paper is attached, you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch space on both sides, so you don't want tape there. For the pieces, I have a piece of tape flush to the top on the front side. So these are the front sides. The back side, I have tape at the bottom and the side, stopping about 3/4 inch short. Since when it gets attached, it's going to overhang about 1/2 inch and then round the top. So these tabs are going to attach our top piece. So I inked at the edges. I used Tim Holtz Distress ink, and it's the Oxide Vintage Photo. So I'm going to attach my first piece. So I have that little bit of edge, about 1/8 of an inch edge, all the way to the top. Then I fold over, and I'm going to use my bone folder to flatten that top out. It's going to go on the inside, and this is our tab that's going to attach our top piece. So I'm going to go ahead and attach one more side. And then I'm going to do the rest off camera. So I'm lining it on the bottom first. So line up the top and the bottom. Fold over the top and flatten. Alright, do the rest to the rest of them. Alright, so we need 6 of these little guys for our top portion of the windmill. So I already drew my lines at the top. So we're going to trim them down at an angle. Looking for my ruler. Whoops. Alright, so then we get 6 of these guys, and then I need to get my hinges, which is going to be to attach the sides to, but I need my base, my bottom base, and my top base. So we're going to have to draw some lines to make those the hexagon shape as well. For our top and bottom piece, they'll sit like that. I drew my hexagon on both of them. For the big guy, we'll cut using our craft knife. So we have our center point. and we'll cut all sides with the craft knife. With this little guy, you can use your craft knife, but it's so small, you can just use your, these are 10 Holtz scissors. You just use your scissors and cut, because we're wrapping this guy, so you're not going to see the edges. So now we got our top piece. And then that is our hexagon, and then we have our sides. So we'll attach our sides, and then we'll attach our top. Alright, working on our top piece. So we got our hexagon cut out, all of our sides cut out. And then we have our hinges. Our hinges are tapered, and they have tape on the inside, which is the valley side. So the first thing we're going to do is add one of the hinges, the one side flush to the side of our side. So we got that attached. Remove the tape, and we're going to kind of bend it a little bit when we attach it to this guy. So we're pretty much sliding him at an angle. So I'm holding it at an angle and sliding him on. So the corners meet. And we have this clean edge right here. It's going to be at an angle. So again, we're going to put our guy, attach him. And then holding at an angle, you can see, and sliding my piece, my bottom piece down to attach. So our next one, our next hinge piece, will get these two corners touching and then adding our hinge to the outside. So go ahead and attach the rest of your pieces. Next, we're going to attach the edges, the sides, and these hinges are flat on the side and then taped on the inside, the valley side. And how we're going to attach them is we're going to have them overhang about 1/2 inch on the top and the bottom. And we're going to have, we're going to start off with two corners first. The first two corners are the hardest, just because you have to hold them, but once that's done, the other ones are easier. And I think it's only hard for me because I'm trying to show you on camera. So I'm having the two tips touch, and then I'm going to have my hinge about 1/2 inch at the top and bottom, making sure my corners are still touching. And I moved my hinge a little bit, but that's alright, because I need it to be able to, enough to wrap around, which we have plenty. So we're going to take our scissors, and I'm going to cut straight down the middle up to the chipboard, and then wrap, and then wrap. So I wrapped around the bottom. This is what we will see. It's a clean edge right there. And then the top, this is going to get our little V cut. So we're going to cut up to the chipboard but add a little bit of angle. So we're going to cut out a little bit of V. So again, up to the chipboard corner. So there's our little V shape right there. Let me try to get my piece off my hand, and then I'm going to wrap it around, and get my foam folder to smooth out that edge. So there we go. And we're going to do that to all of our pieces. So I do hold it a little bit out so I can see that this middle line is touching the middle of my two pieces here. So I'm lining it up, the corners, having my corners touch. And folding it out just a little bit so I can see it, making sure my corners are touching. Wrapping around, and then again, this is a little close to the edge for my liking, so I think I'm just going to do a little bit of a V shape on this as well. Probably not necessary, but it's not going to hurt anything if I do it. So again, I cut out my little V shape, rolled. So that's the back, that's the corner. And then I'm going to cut my, trying to get this on camera the best I can. Strange angle for me, but that's all right. There's my V shape. Roll, smooth out. All right. So we're gonna do that to all the sides. For our top piece, I cut out a little paper to wrap it. So I added my tape to my top piece, and then we're going to attach it on the paper and the center of the paper. Then we're going to draw ½ inch from the edges and cut. Use my foam folder to outline. And then I'm rolling my edges. This just gives me an idea of where my corners are. And taking my scissors, we're going to cut up to the chipboard corner at an angle. We're going to cut out little V's on all the corners. And now we can add our tape to the tabs before we attach. Okay, just like we wrapped the other middle piece hexagon, we're going to do the sides first. Or you choose what sides are going to be your sides first. And we're going to leave our front piece and our back piece till last. Take your bone folder, and I'm running across the edge to get that edge nice and smooth. And now we have our top piece. Alright, so we're cutting out our mats for our sides of our top piece. And so you cut these guys out. And then I drew my lines for at an angle. And for these guys, instead of using my craft knife, I'm just going to use my scissors. Because they're smaller pieces and it's going to be faster. So I'm going to cut all my pieces, ink them, and put tape on them. Once we get all the pieces cut, we're going to put it on our scoreboard to make this just a little bit easier for us, and we're going to score it at 1/2 inch. So when we do that and fold it, we'll slide it right on to there. It gives our edge a little bit more smoother and looks good. So we're going to score all those and then tape them. So I added tape to the top and the bottom flush to the edges. Of course, short on both sides all the way around. And then for this guy, I added tape just to the top, flipped over, added tape to the bottom where it's scored, and a little bit on the sides, about 1/2 inch up on both sides, and then stopping short at the top. That's probably about 3/4 inches. So, so we'll remove the tape. Tape, tape, tape. And I'm going to have this fold over. And of course even, so we want to make sure that we're lined up on both sides evenly. Pull this guy up to the top. So we have them wrapped to the bottom. Have the sides, and then this guy at the top will just fold over. Use our bone folder to flatten it out. There we go. And I inked the edges first. So I'm going to work on the bottom first, making sure it's in between my two edges. And then roll the top guy over. Alright, well, let's keep doing that for all 6 sides. Alright, next we're going to attach our top piece to our top, and it's going to have like a little bit of a lip all the way around, overhang. And we're going to do this pretty carefully. So let me remove all my tape backings here. And I'm going to start with designating my front. So choose the side that you want to be your front. And I'm going to attach 3 of those guys. So my front and back pieces are going to be attached to the top, and then those 4 on the sides are going to be on the sides. Alright, so we're going to kind of push these up just a little bit so they're kind of high. We're going to take our top piece and line it up. I'm going to push down on it on the back side just to make sure that I am even. Stick. See, my ruler will fit in there. Nope. I doubt it will though. And now I'm pressing on it. So you can see my edges all the way around. We are not going to attach this to the top of this guide just yet. We need to put our blades on, but this is how we're going to attach it when we're done. It's going to have that lip as well. So we're going to work on the blades. For our blades, we have 2 pieces of chipboard, real small 1-inch piece, and then this larger piece. And then I've drew on here our blades. Again, all this is on the tutorial. So we got that center point, and then we just connected our dots. And we're going to cut this out with our craft knife. So we're just going to go to the corner of the square and then cut these sides out. So when I cut, I always cut outward, which means when I put my line, this will be the inside. I'm going to cut so that the scrap piece is to the right of my blade, just in case I jump off of it. I'd rather cut a scratch piece than the actual piece that I'm going to need and then start over. I missed a little niche, so I'm just going to cut that off. And there's my first section. So I'm going to repeat that on all 4 sections. I finished cutting my blades, added my tape to it, and this is the paper we're going to use. So I'm going to flip this over and we're going to attach our blades to the center of the paper. draw, trace around all of the blades, 1/2 inch, because we're going to need to wrap them. Doesn't work if your lead breaks. So I traced my lines, which is hard to see. I'm going to grab the cutting mat and trim those. Next we have our little 1-inch piece we're going to go ahead and attach to the center of our paper. So we can wrap this piece too. So when our lines meet in the middle, so we're going to go from that corner and trim down. I think I'm just going to use my scissors, actually. So the line doesn't have to be perfect, because this is the edge that we're just going to be wrapping. Alright, so we're going to cut each section out, and then when we're done, we're going to cut straight from the middle of the chipboard down to the corner. So we're going to line it up, and that's our wrapping piece. And then our corner right here, you can use your ruler or eyeball it, and it's going to be 1/8 of an inch from the tip of the chipboard. So that's the first notch and a Tim Holtz ruler. And you'll do that to all the corners. Oh, and then for this little guy, you can do the same thing with your ruler. You just line it at that 1/8 inch mark and just trim all of the corners. I'm going to need tape on that, but I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder and run all along all the edges. Alright, for our blades, I got everything taped, trimmed, and cut. So then you're just going to take your bone folder and go around all the edges to give it a little bit of a score on all of that. Do the same thing with this little guy. And then we're going to attach. So first I'm just going to fold them, give them a crease. And we're going to do our sides first. And what I didn't do is ink the corners. So meant to ink the edges because you can see them, or you might see them. Hopefully you don't, but we're just going to do it just in case. And there is our first one. So you're going to do that with the rest of the 3, and then make sure that's all smoothed out, which it should be smoothed out since we did that first. Then for this little guy, he's pretty easy. I would do 2 sides, 2 opposite sides first. Ink. So then we got our square, and then finish this guy. Just gonna go in the middle, and we're gonna poke a hole in it. Alright. Alright, for the back side of the pieces, we'll cut our pieces out, and then draw our lines. That's really hard to see, but we got our lines from corner to corner, and then we're just gonna cut them out. You can use your scissors or your craft knife. Doesn't have to be perfect. It is on the back side, so you won't really see it. Then ink your edges and add your tape. Now, how I cut these, I have it so this tip matches this side, but it is smaller on this side. So it's like a border. So like a little bit of a border all the way around, and then this side is the same size. I did that because there's more chipboard showing. Also, you're not going to actually be able to see it once it's on the windmill. And then if anything hangs over, if you attach it wrong, it's fine. It's going to get covered up by the square in the middle. Alright, so you're going to want to make 4 of those and attach them. Alright, we're gonna get my dowel here, and this is connecting our windmill blades to our windmill. And I drew a little line right there. And if you have something to cut it, go ahead. If not, use your craft knife, and you're just gonna saw while twisting your dowel around. And you don't have to go all the way through. Once you get it good and started, you can just break it at that corner and then saw off the rest of the like little pieces. You're just going to break them off just a little bit. It's okay if it's not smooth, because we're just going to put a little piece over it, put that in there and glue it in. So it don't have to be smooth. And that's our dowel piece. So it doesn't take long and doesn't take a lot of pressure. You just go round and round and then break it. Alright, I painted my dowel and my 3 pieces with purple to match the paper, and this is perfect. So what I used is Tim Holtz Distress Paint Seedless Preserves. Now, if you don't have the paint, the ink will probably work as well, because it's just wood. But this matches perfectly. So now I'm letting those dry, and we can work on oh, get out of the way. And I had to wash my hands a couple times to get the paint off. Oh, here they are. So we got our our blades and then put a little mark in the middle because we're going to need to poke a hole in it. The same thing with this guy. So we're going to poke the holes in both of these pieces first, and then we're going to attach them. It's easier to do it separately than attach them first and then poke the hole. So we're just going to try and get it at the center as possible. But this needs to be the size of the dowel. So I'm using Windmill Keeper's pokey tool. So I'm going to go all the way around. Actually, I'm going to use my, I don't think my Tim Holtz scissors will get in there just yet. Where's my craft knife? So I'm just cutting my circle out a little bit. The good thing about this guy, if it's messy, it's fine, because it's just going to get covered up by one of our dowel pieces. So I'm just turning it around and around just to get that hole a lot bigger. Get the scissors in there. I'm going to just cut the extra excess. Make sure my piece is still in the center. So making a big old mess, which is fine. Actually, it's starting to look like lint from your pants. And where's... Just getting a scrap dowel piece to make sure my hole is big enough. Oh, perfect. Got that going. And the dowel smoothed out my edges for me. And then we'll do the same thing to this guy. So I start with just doing like the four, like making 4 corners out of the hole. Makes it easier to start twisting. I don't think it's big enough just yet. Let me do a couple more passes. Oh, there we go. Perfect. And then this guy will go on here. Yeah. Nice. Alright, Alright, so we're going to attach our piece. We're going to make it more like a diamond shape than the square, where the corners will be on the blades. So I'm just lining it up in the middle with the hole. Making sure everything looks centered. Oh, I forgot to ink one of my mats. That's alright. Okay. Now that we got it attached, we need to put some holes in our windmill. Okay, so for our windmill tower, I marked where I'm putting my hole, and then on the back side it's a little further down, and I marked where I'm putting my hole. So this is going to be the same size hole as the blades. So we're going to do the same technique using our pokey tool to get make our hole in there, and then use our blade to make it wider. So of course when you do this, make sure you do not poke your finger or your blade. So there's the start of it. And I'm going to get my blade in there and make a hole. Alright, next we're going to put our dowel through our holes after our paint dries. And then put our blades on the dowel. Trying to hold the dowel's a little tricky. Okay, now that that's on, we're going to need to put one of our caps onto the front, and then we can move this guy up front. Okay, so I'm going to get my glue. The glue I'm using is E6000. I'm a little off screen, but I'm just putting some glue in the hole. I gotta remove some old glue off so the new stuff can go. There we go. I'm using a toothpick to get my glue inside. Oh, there, it's coming now. It's coming. And then I'm going to go ahead and add glue to the outside, because we're going to go ahead and glue it to the windmill blades. This glue is messy, but it works. I'm just spreading it around the sides. I don't need it to ooze off the sides. Alright, so I'm going to put it like that. And then push my blade. There we go. I'm going to let that dry. Okay, and back side looks good. I'm going to go ahead and put another one on the back. I put the cap on. Okay. Just squeezing my glue inside. It's seeping. It's seeping. Just gonna wipe the excess off. Alright, I'm just gonna let them dry. Alright, before we attach the sky, the very top of it gets a piece that I've already cut out. And we're just going to put it on top, centered, and ooh, I moved it. Uh-oh. Okay, centered, and then I made a little mark on the middle. And then we're gonna add at the very top. I'm gonna go get my glue. Got one more of these little guys, so I'm just going to put right on the center. Spreading my glue out with my toothpick here, making sure I get on my sides. And then I'm going to stick him right in the center. I'm going to let him, oh, I moved him when I picked him up. Good thing this is some forgiving glue. So there we go, right in the middle. Let him dry, and then we'll attach him to the top of the windmill. For attaching this top piece, we're going to do, flip this over. This is the back side, and I drew a line. And I'm going to attach my last piece first, the back. And I'm going to line them up. I'm going to line them up evenly and attach him first. And then I'm going to remove all my tape. So I'm doing it this way because I can't flip this over and put him on top and find my measurements. So I'm going to have to do it a little bit differently, which is alright, as long as when he gets attached, he's the right size. So let me make sure that that's going to be measured. Alright, now here's the fun part. We're going to, I already removed all my tape. Going to put these up. I'm going to use my spatula because it's thinner. So when I'm closing it, I'm going to let it fall. I'm going to use my spatula to attach my guy. Just sliding them in there, adding them to it. Popped the pieces up at the front. Just making sure he looks stable. So there's our windmill construction. Now he just needs to be decorated. All right. So you can see he's evenly lipped around. He looks good. We are going to work on the drawer and get our handle on there, but we're going to put a sticker on here first. So because we finished up attaching all our pieces for a windmill, it's time to decorate. So what I've done is got the paper and started fussy cutting some flowers out. And then I inked the edges. So it's going to be for the sides of the windmill. Cut out some butterflies. And made these cute little 3 butterfly pieces for the front of the windmill at the base. We're going to work on the drawer, but I'm going to put this piece, but just the border piece, not the inside bloom piece. It says bloom, but instead I have I got it off. I cut out a green piece for the middle because that's where the handle's gonna go. Oh, I cut it too big. All right. All right, so I got my green piece in the center, and then I'm going to attach to the middle of my box. Oh. Perfect. I'm going to find where we're going to place this guy. Draw our little circles for where we're going to poke our tool, but before I let up, I'm going to make sure I'm measuring, and then poke through. I'm just moving, attaching the brads. I can't get my finger in there to separate it. Still can't get it to separate. It's hard to see the brads with the pattern paper. Okay. Oh, it's looking good. And then I got these cute little guys for the middles here. So I have 3 of those, and I think I'm going to put a strip around it first. So I have this strip, blue, that has little butterflies on it. And I'm going to remove some tape backing, and we're going to put it on, start it with the first, we have the 3 sections in the front. We're just going to cover the first 3. And I'm going to hold my ruler so I can find my center point. Try and balance on one corner. And attach right in that center spot. I'm gonna have to, I can do this. There we go. A little bit better hold. Of course, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I do like things centered. Before it touched down, gonna ink that edge. Make sure that looks centered. Then I'm gonna take my 3 pieces. I added some thin pop dots, foam squares, just to give it a little dimension. They are pretty thin pieces. I'm going to use looks pretty good. So I'm going to attach my other 2. Alright, next I cut these 2 pieces out. These are part of the collection, and I'm going to put them on the side of the box, just like that. Alright, so I've fussy cut some flowers. So what I'm going to attach is kind of centered to the top, and then anything that's hung over I'm going to wrap around the sides. My next piece I'm going to attach closer to the top, and then the piece on the left side is going to be at the bottom. So I cut out 2 separate pieces to make it more full on the bottom. And then I'm going to wrap the overhangs over to this side of the windmill. So that's my next step. Okay, I have attached my flowers to my windmill, and I've decided I wanted to add a little bit of something to the windmill blades. So I cut out some pattern paper and then drew my lines from the corner point up to here. So this is one size. This is the same size as the blade, but you can't tuck it in. So once you cut your piece out, then you trim it by 1/4 of an inch so it'll slide in there. So that's what I'm making right now. So they're in the tutorial, so you can cut your little piece. Drew my lines, and then I cut it out with my scissors. And then I'm going to cut, oops, nope, I'm going to trim off about 1/4 of an inch, so it's my right size, ink my edges, and then tape it to my blades. And so when you're ready to attach, I have it so it's flush to the outside of the blade. So I'm going to slide trying to do this so you can see it. Slide it under my piece. And then line it up at the bottom. And you'll do that to all 4 blades. Another thing that I did was made some of these dragonflies, which is optional. So I have got this little dragonfly die from, it's called Technique Tuesday, and it has a ladybug die with it too. And it's doesn't have the, oh, okay, it says die, build a dragonfly is what it's called. So it's build a dragonfly. And what I did was got this this white clear translucent paper. So this is paper that you can ink on. So I used some alcohol inks. For this blue one I used Aqua, and for the green one I used Alcohol Pearl Envy. I did try to mix, I don't know where my paper is. Oh, here it is. I tried to mix a purple and a blue, which is really pretty, but the purple didn't quite go with the purple that I had, but I really liked it. This is my mess up with green, purple, and pink. It just kind of went to brown uck. So that's just me playing around. Then I got this clear acetate. So I inked on the white clear one that has a texture for you to alcohol ink, and then a clear one. And I attached the clear on top of the one that I've inked. And you can't see it very well in the camera, but it makes the dragonfly wings look clear and colored. I'm trying to do that translucent color that they have. Again, I tried to do the multiple color, it just didn't work very well. So I made a green and a blue and used, oh, you can see the shine right there. I used glossy accents to attach the clear to the colored. So I'm going to put those somewhere in the windmill. I'm thinking the blade and on the body. Okay, that's the tips for today. So I'm going to finish, or tips for now, I'm going to finish these blades and then move on.